Zero is back.
Zero tolerance policy on Canton.
For incredible openings like this, you have to go to subscribestar.com/Cantent and give us $10 for our bonus episodes, such as Pat Labor 2, which is definitely legally by now out. No doubt about it. It's in the editing bay. No, it's out by now. Right, also an advertisement. Hey kids, want to impress your friends and induce sexual arousal in your neighbors? Cantent t-shirts!
Wow, I've never been more impressed in my life with anything.
Cantent now has official t-shirt merchandise, and you can get yourself some by clicking below the video or in the Teespring link in the description. With designs like the classic Cantent logo.
Or this.
I've got a shirt on too.
Or this. Cantent! In these trying times, why not tell the world you'd rather be watching Eurocant from inside your cozy can tent? They're a great way to support the show and share your Cantent pride. So get out there, wear them, and get into Cantent. Cantent! We're back. Back at home at last.
Oh God, why?
Why is it that these 4 or 5 episodes felt like 10 times, I watched on 1.5 speed, felt like 10 times longer than the Jujutsu Kaisen, like 7, 8 episodes we watched.
I watched these 4 episodes at 3 times speed.
Whoa, now we're talking.
And it still felt longer
and
than
this is
all
to go
8
even further beyond
of the Jujutsu Kaisen episodes that I watched at a mere 2x.
Look, can we just call it? ReZero's a bad show. It's fucking, but okay, you know what? I'm overstating. Actually, cut that.
No, you are not
overspeaking.
overspeaking. This show is fucking awful. This is, I can't believe we're still here.
Look,
I thought we were done.
We're getting to the end, right? We're getting to the end. Active moves are being made. Our first episode back, we finished the Emilia completion of trial number 1. And the others, as Echidna says, are like easy mode compared to her backstory, right? So that's happening. Okay, events unfold as such. We finish up the flashback, which is the first trial to like clear the sanctuary. Why are we doing this then? I don't remember exactly why we're doing it, but we're doing it. And it's gonna break the sanctuary? Wait, isn't the sanctuary like good? I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand the stakes. I don't understand the mechanics. And I don't accept that I'm not paying enough attention. I am paying attention. It's just so boring.
I get like hung up in this level of I can't keep track of what anyone's trying to do anymore. Because like Roswaal, for instance, like throughout, like all we knew about this dude was that he wants to kill the dragon. And he's taking care of
whatever
Emilia,
that means, but
right?
yeah.
Like those were like the big things we knew about this character up until now. And now he's been like totally changed because everything's about Echidna.
No, that's
and
not
like
fair. He's been extrapolated upon. He was always mysterious, right? They're filling in the unfilled in backstory. Now, if that's good or bad, or makes sense or not, that's open to interpretation.
I guess I just find his weird working against and with them thing is very confusing.
I agree. I'm with you there. He is a enigma, and we learn like what he's trying to do, kind of. But again, it's tied up in like, okay, so he was like a tutor. He met Echidna, right? When Echidna was alive and stuff, and he like fell in love with her because she like saved him because he was backed up and he didn't know how to jack off, and she taught him how to jack off with magic. Basically, it's effectively what happens. And then he's like saved and he's healed and he's okay now. Okay, fine. And he goes on to become to take over his family, become a powerful mage under her guidance. Cool. They then go on to like make the sanctuary. What is the sanctuary? Do I need to like check the wiki? It's like a protective area for half-breeds, right? That's like the point of it?
It's like the Echidna's grave.
All right, pause. I'm going to the ReZero wiki. Pause. Okay, the sanctuary, also known as the Witch of Greed's Graveyard, is a village created by Echidna which has been protected by the Roswaal family throughout generations. Okay, there's more, but the original purpose was to keep the Warlock of Melancholy away from Echidna. I don't know if that's a spoiler. They do talk about how that guy shows up.
The Warlock of Melancholy shows up. That confused me at first too, because I was like, wait, I thought there were 7 witches.
But isn't she
7
dead?
sins. But there's actually more witches for the, because there's 2 This is, I guess, a spoiler.
There's two more
There's
now.
two who like escaped or ascended or something. The Vainglory and
right, and this guy. Yeah. Okay, there's more. Fine. Okay.
Sure.
Whatever. I don't mind that. But what are we doing with them? But what's
he's so
it all
melancholy
mean?
all the time. Everything he says, he's like, I'm so melancholy. Nah. I hate this character writing. This show's fuck. All the witches are like this. It's just. The way everyone talks, everyone has the same voice in this show. Everyone talks the exact same, which is just unbroken fucking bricks of emotions that are the worst kind of conflict you can have in a story, in my opinion, is where you describe a vague emotion that is holding a character back from whatever they're doing, and then the other characters just have to convince them to change their mind through words.
Yeah.
And I get, on some level, that is the point of ReZero, right?
Yeah,
he doesn't have any powers. He goes back, he learns the situation, and he tells people the right things to make it play out. But like, ultimately, the conversations he has with Roswaal are like they're just meaningless. They're just saying vacuous like pleasantries at each other. You know what I mean?
They mean things. I talked about this in like a little video I did. It's just that like the show is demanding a lot of emotional investment. You have to really care. You have to go out of your way almost to care about every little feeling of every character. And maybe I'm at fault, personally, for not caring enough. I feel like too much is being asked of me by the show. I like Rem. I even kind of like Emilia. I sort of like Subaru sometimes. There are characters who I like because they have done things that I care about and are impressive and hook me to the character. Roswaal is so clouded in like ambiguity and confusing motivations and also like the actual physical stakes of the world I also don't understand. Too much is being asked of me as the viewer to like force myself upon the emotions of the characters when they have not been explained sufficiently, and I checked out and I don't care.
You know what it is? I hate it when shows make up the rules of like a psychological game. So like, let's say for instance with Betty, her whole like thing is she's like obsessed with her mother had left her this book.
Yes.
It's all blank. Yes. She has this like interpretation of what this all means that she's hung up on, that she's stuck with. And every time Subaru confronts her, it's basically the same thing. He yells at her a whole lot about how she's wrong for thinking the way she's thinking. And she goes, no, I have to be this way. And he's like, no, you don't. And they just go back and forth. And I still don't even think he convinces her of anything in this episode. They've had the argument multiple times now.
No, she's the same as she's ever been. In a flashback, she cared about someone, not in the present. She does show up briefly, but yeah, like nothing changes. Like nothing, she's the same. She blasts him out comically. Haha, they did it again. I'm so enraptured by these characters.
Maybe we're gonna find out he did convince her, and so she's gonna show up in the nick of time and save the day. That seems like it could happen.
Anything could happen. It's a world of possibilities out there in ReZero.
I get so annoyed when like the establishment of like Roswaal's thing is like, oh, it's a personality problem that can be fixed by having a conversation with him, but the conversation that they have is not one about like why.
You have to...
It's all so nebulous and emotional.
Right.
I really hate it.
This is the thing. It's so confusing to talk about the show. It's like, this show leads with mystery. It leads you with mysterious characters. You're not supposed to understand their motivations, because the whole point of the show, kind of, is exploring why they feel the way they do. Like, look at the little arc of Garfield. We didn't know why he was so mad and why he wanted to protect it so much, like the Sanctuary. Once Subaru knew why, he was able to, well, actually, he never found out. He just convinced him through platitudes. But like, when Garfield himself explored his own backstory, he's like, okay, Subaru's point makes sense. Don't trap yourself in the past or whatever. You have to like move forward in life. We can't just be locked away in the Sanctuary forever. I'm going to like actively take steps forward. Roswaal is exactly the same. Every character is the same. They're all like trapped by their past. Like, what did Emilia just do episode 1, this flashback? It was all about overcoming her past so she can like do dope shit in the future. That is obviously the theme of the whole story, and that is what Subaru unlocks in order to do stuff. That's all Talk no Jutsu, and Talk no Jutsu can be done fine sometimes. But the fact, again, it's like that leading with mystery.
There's one moment in this where Talk no Jutsu worked at all in my mind, and it was, so the setup for it's retarded, because it's Roswaal comes to Emilia and he's like, I bet Subaru is just like me, and he just spoils you and tells you you're amazing, and he doesn't help you with shit. And she's like, actually, he came through and told me I was an annoying pain in the ass and that I needed to change. And Roswell's like, oh, well, that's just stuff that he said to you, though. Like, surely you're just listening. Like, he keeps trying to convince himself out of it. And, like, that was the one moment where I felt like there was, like, he was suggesting something that we already have reason to know is false. Like, it's a flashback. It's things that Subaru said to her. She is re-saying to him, you are wrong. I have evidence. It's not, you should change the way you're thinking based on the way I think you should think, and then ranting at them about how, oh, well, you think that... Okay, now I remember the conversation that pissed me off the most.
Yeah.
His thing is that he expects everyone to be weak, that no one will ever be strong for any reason. Like, you have to depend on people to be weak. Doesn't matter what they've proven, doesn't matter what they've done, because at the 11th hour, they will be weak, so you just can't count on it. And it's insane. It's just ridiculous that his entire thing is like, no, everyone will always be this way all the time, and so I cannot possibly make any plans that account for anyone being brave ever.
What? It's like, you know, when you're presented like a villain or a flawed character in a story, their flaw has to be like interesting or compelling. I can feel the author here behind the scenes being like, okay, like what's his backstory gonna be? Why is he like this? He thinks everyone's weak and has like overly low expectations. It's too far in the negative side of things. This warps his perspective of the world. That's fine, but the way it's like expressed through the character, again, through the lens of the meandering, vague dialogue that we slowly piece together over dozens and dozens of episodes, and ends up in what? Like this speech about how, like, obviously, Emilia, you're wrong, or, you know, Subaru must be thinking that you're gonna fail at everything and he'll have to save you. Like, we already know that's not true, so like, what's even the point? In that case, it's that moral is obvious and has been demonstrably already beaten by the events of the story. Like the whole thing of Emilia failing too much, Subaru all the time talks about like how he's gonna let Emilia be the hero. She needs to be her own hero, which is good, which is obviously a good thing to do. You shouldn't just do everything for other people. You have to let them grow. It's the only way they become like fully fledged individuals on their own. But like, I know that, man. I know that. And yeah, the story can tell obvious morals. I'm just bored. I'm bored. That's ultimately the point.
There's like literally like the dramatic confrontation between Subaru and Roswaal is him going, you think everyone's weak. I believe in strength. And I'm like, weak, strength. What are these? What is the difference? Where is the dividing line? What is a strong behavior and a weak behavior?
Look,
ultimately,
there are tales as old as time. You know, in the Magic the Gathering book series, the brothers Urza and Mithra, I read these books back in the day, are separated and they become like warring factions. Urza has the Might Stone, and Mithra has the Weak Stone. And like the metaphor at the end of it is that, like, of course, weakness will lose to strength, and that's what happens, and Urza becomes a planeswalker, blah, 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 who cares? The point is, like, that story was kind of cool. You know why? Because it had, like, that idea at the base of it. It didn't really matter that much. It was something to think about sometimes, I guess. But it was like a military campaign where I, like the characters.
You know what?
And cool things happen.
The even better thing, though, is that there was a stone, a strength stone, and a weak stone. That is quantifiable.
Right.
I understand. Right. There's a thing that caused people to be different. This is just them, like, literally speculate, like, navel gazing about the way people be, and then, like, basing major plot decisions around, like, these incredibly vague descriptions of their ideas of psychology. And, like, I don't know,
This sounds like a double standard. People like Evangelion because there's a lot of introspection, and I think you're being a little unfair. Navel gazing is always good in all contexts. You're right. You're right. That's the problem, and I don't give a shit. I fucking hate this show. It's a pain to watch. It hurts my fucking brain. Why do people like it? Why do they care? I don't know.
Somebody, I said on Twitter last night, like, this is the most painful arc of anime I've ever sat through. Like, the Sanctuary arc, this has been 20 episodes.
Yes, like, yeah.
It's going to be more than 20 episodes of this one location, one arc, one thing we've been trying to get through. That wouldn't even bother me too much in ReZero because part of the point is that you reset and try to do the same thing over and over again. If not for the fact that the entire season, the second half,
final loop has been
one loop.
Yeah, we're not even doing the main mechanic really.
And the emotional ending of it already happened to me. Like, I felt we had made the whole point of this to me was get Emilia in the emotional state to beat the trials. We did that. Now it's about Roswaal convincing him to let them?
Yeah, so like Ram. Okay, you know what? See, here's the thing. There were some elements here that weren't terrible. I wrote down like 2 of them. I think we already talked about some. But by the way, before I get to the positive thing, just one last negative thing here is that, like, I guess it's kind of negative, whatever. There's a moment where, at the beginning here, they go to talk to Roswaal again, and they're like, hey, Roswaal, I'm Subaru. I've got my boys with me now. Like, I've acquired new characters. One is Garfield, who's, you know, he's convinced to be like an ally now. The other is Otto. And Roswaal says, like, whoa, you've changed the game. I didn't account for this piece on the board. He's just saying, like, nobody cared about Otto. Nobody gave a shit. He is a non-entity of a character. He wasn't part of my plan. And I'm like, you're exactly explaining why I don't care about this character. Is this like a joke? I feel like it is a joke. That they're like, Otto is relevant now, and he's the one who could really change the game. Even though he doesn't, I don't care. I don't care. He got a backstory episode. Why did we give Otto a backstory episode? God, I fucking hate this show.
You know who else got a backstory? The Bowel Hunter. Our
right.
girl, Elsa.
A little bit. Yeah, that was cool.
We learned that she was kidnapped as a child and she was going to be raped by a guy, but then she took a glass and disemboweled him, and she was like, oh, I felt warmth for the first time. Now I love bowels. If all that's true, where did her sister come from? Because also she has a sister now?
Right, the beast controller person,
yeah,
right?
she's on like a big hippo.
They might not be literal sisters, you know? I don't know.
Was that character around before these 4 episodes? Did I just forget?
Briefly, like they showed up for like 1 episode to like establish they're the beast controller person. Yes, we saw them before, but they didn't do much.
Because it's like we're in the mansion, and then all of a sudden just like a huge hippo comes soaring through the wall, and I was like, who's this now? And then they're like, oh, it's Bowel Hunter's sister. And I was like, okay, but then right after telling us that they are sisters, we then see that when she was like 11, she was sold off into slavery or whatever. Are they literal sisters?
There's this discussion of like this agonizing discussion about Emilia. Is Mother whatever her real, like we talked about that for like 5 minutes last episode. She's not a real mother. Why did we torture ourselves with like, is she the mother? Isn't she the mother? She's not the mother. Just say it clearly. You set it up, she can call her mother, and then you one time say, oh, she's not my literal mother. She's not her literal mother. I'm just mad at the show. I'm mad for wasting my fucking time by making me wonder if she is or isn't the mother. The point is, it doesn't even matter. I think she's like being implied to literally be the Witch of Envy's literal daughter. I think that's what they're building to, and like that girl's like her aunt or something. Fine. Why did we spend so much time on those details and they acted like it mattered when it quantifiably doesn't matter?
Why do we spend so much time on her relationship with Betelgeuse, for that matter? That whole fucking dumb shit.
Did Betelgeuse, did he need like a fleshed out backstory?
He did
Were the people clamoring for Betelgeuse's epic origin story of how he became so mentally broken, how he learned that like love
If anything, it actively made the character worse.
I agree. He was just... like watching ReZero. It's not fun. It feels bad.
It feels like work I'm not willing to do.
Yeah.
Even when I'm doing it for work. Like,
yeah.
Like we started these and I was just like, ooh, like I don't think I actually have the cognitive capacity to keep everything in my brain from this show. Like I don't think I could, because it's normally something like Attack on Titan, right? A lot of details in that, a lot of stuff to keep track of. But like I really understand the consequences of everything going on and where it's headed, and so every episode is like nail biting. It's like, oh, this has ramifications for all these people and all this stuff going on throughout the world. This show, they'll be having a conversation, you're just like, how does this matter? Yeah. How could this possibly matter? And like, it'll just be fucking, like, okay, backstory of Roswaal hanging out with Betty and the fucking elf girl.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, they had like a cute domestic life together.
Who cares?
Here's 7 minutes of them doing the same shit. Like,
I don't care.
It doesn't endear me to them more because I already know them. I already know who they are now. This doesn't add anything to them.
For some people, they like that, they want that, they've been wondering what the epic backstory of Roswaal was going to be. And now they get it, such that it is. And it doesn't matter that it's fairly arbitrary and doesn't really add much to the character. They just like it. And, you know, you're not wrong to feel that way. I just can't go along for the ride because I don't like it.
I'm thinking about, like, if that scene had been maybe 1.5 minutes, where Roswaal goes like, oh, Subaru says like, I know what really happened with you. We zoom out, right? Cut in to the house. They're all hanging out, having a good time for like 30 seconds. We get a sense of their chemistry. They get attacked, the thing happens, and then we don't have to even follow past that. They just get attacked, zoom out, and then go, and then Subaru could have told him, and then you had to do this and that, right? And he goes, yes. That would have taken 3 minutes and done all the same things.
When it comes to this show, you know what, you're right. I retreat too much into this. To each their own, to each their own. You can make quality judgments about things. This show is put together like balls, like shit. I don't like watching it. It wastes my time. I guess some people enjoy like sitting in it. The way that we like that Emilia OVA, where you just sit there and you walk with her. But like, I kind of like Emilia.
I would have liked sitting in it if I wasn't still at the fucking sanctuary, where I've seen it hundreds of times now.
The ratio of
it's
things
so boring.
happening, the ratio of things happening to how much exposition, it's all off. It's off so horribly. Okay, but you know what? I had a thesis statement for my thoughts on the show I put together here. It's like, this is what it should have been called. The name of the show should be ReZero. Who cares? But I mean that literally. I mean that literally because such amazing events were treated to, such as when Echidna calls Emilia a bad girl. Who cares? Why do I care that one person called another character a bad girl? Am I supposed to give a shit about the emotional stakes involved in that? I don't. Emilia doesn't, so why should I?
I was so invested in the scene where she was in the witch's garden and the girl put her finger on the back of her head and
oh my God.
said things.
She said, "Don't turn around. What a good girl, you didn't turn around." What did that even mean? I don't even know what that meant. Another thing we're expected to care about, Roswell's backstory of loving Echidna. Who cares that he loves Echidna? Why does this matter? It makes him do weird, mysterious things and make him the villain? Okay, I don't care. Just get to the plot details. I don't need to sit in that for 10 fucking minutes and 2 episodes. Okay, and then here's the other thing. Who cares about when Rem wants to save Roswell and that Rem cares about him? You know who cares about that? This guy right here. I like Rem. I want Rem to be happy. Some of these things are cool and I like. Some of them are balls and I hate.
I liked them. I liked the part where they just kept throwing Rem's unconscious body onto one another's backs as they're trying to escape the mansion.
Right, right. Oh, I misspoke. Rem, I meant to say Ram. Ram, the red hair one. She loves. And we've established that relationship, and you know, a couple episodes ago, I was talking about how like Ram makes me laugh. Sometimes she makes me laugh with a good joke. That endears me to this character, and now I want her to get her wish of like convincing Roswell she's wrong. So I don't give a fuck about Roswell, but I care a little bit in that I want Ram to get what she wants and him to like become a good guy now. So the point I'm trying to make here is that
like
some
he
of
was
the things,
the whole time.
like he's always going to be a good guy. He was just wrong, confused. He had the wrong idea. The perfectly set up character for Subaru to convince.
What exactly is he holding them back from?
I have no fucking idea what he wants. That's it. I have no fucking idea. Is it this? Echidna's body is in the witch's graveyard, right? We saw the body. They do in fact like dispel the boundary thing that finally happens when Emilia, like she defeats the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future finally, and Echidna's in there entombed, and they get rid of the thing. Okay, that just happened. What did Roswell want to happen? I have no idea.
I don't know.
And you know what? I concede I may have just missed some lines about him.
Did he want them all just to stay in the sanctuary forever? Was that the idea?
I don't know.
Stay in this protection barrier for the rest of your life?
If you want to say that I'm an asshole because I didn't pay enough attention to get this particular plot line, fair enough. My counter is, this show is so fucking boring. And the thing I said in a previous episode, it stacks. Bullshit, 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 bullshit. One important line. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. You can't blame me for missing some of these details. They'll explain it after the arc ends, and I'll be like, oh, that's what he was trying to do, in like a giant text dump when they revisit and Subaru talks about why he's a good guy now. In the meantime, I think the only moral thing to do is to stop thinking about ReZero. And I almost feel like we shouldn't cover it anymore. I don't know.
I had to give a short list of so this bothered me even back to season 1 when we spent too much time in the mansion. And I was like, okay, we had 2 back-to-back arcs, but at least there was the mansion, and then it kind of went into the town.
Yeah.
And it was more about the town, not so fixated on exploring the mansion. But at least when we were in the mansion, we saw so many different like rooms. It's a big fucking fancy mansion. There's all kinds of stuff in it to look at and interact with. Different places to put the characters when they're having interactions. They could be in the kitchen. They could be in the fucking grass.
In the courtyard, like, having magic testing. Yeah,
all kinds of different little things that they could do. In the Sanctuary arc, there is Roswaal's bedside, the Sanctuary, and like
town generic spots.
But there's like, we never see enough of the town to even really get a sense of what it looks like completely. It's just like I guess just a few buildings and like 50 odd people. Yeah. So, and it's almost always nighttime when anything happens. So it's just like the temple itself is a rock it's just a fucking cave entrance practically. Like, at the very least, if maybe the temple looked cool, like, if there was something that was fun to be at, to see characters, like, when the characters are fighting in front of it, if they're fighting in front of a really cool-looking place, could be a fun fight.
I remember when Subaru and that Magic Stone Knight guy fought. I remember that, like, because they fell down a cliffside, and they were fighting at the base of that cliffside, and that was, like, a notable location for me. I remember that, but the town is so generic, and they just go into, it's like it's like a play. It's like a play with only a very few sets, and one of them is like in front of temple, but it's not a play. It's an anime. It has the medium of animation at its full disposal, and it's not taking advantage of that.
Even as a fucking book, this is retarded, because who wants to read 5 books in a row? I have to assume that's how fucking long this arc was.
Look, I got a deadline. I gotta get this novel done by the end of the month.
5 fucking books of standing in front of a goddamn temple. Like, how many times does the sentence, and then they were in front of the temple again, like, must appear, right? Like, every major confrontation happens in front of the fucking temple.
It's an important point, I guess. Okay, listen, I've got
Sanctuary.
The Sanctuary, yes. I've got one last positive thing to say, which was when there's a fight, sometimes the fights are cool. When Garfield fought Elsa, there was some cool animation there. Remember when Garfield...
Also, Elsa's a vampire.
She's not... I don't think she's a literal vampire. Because, wait, she heals her wounds now? I don't think she used to do that. Why is she immortal now? Did someone give her a new power?
He says, "You're a vampire." And she's like...
And she says, "Yes, I am." But I'm like, I don't think you are.
And they both bite each other's necks.
I didn't understand what that meant. I'm so confused. Okay, you know, I'm not even going to touch that one.
Vampire versus werewolf. Come on. Isn't that automatically cool?
That's cool. You know what was cool? When Garfield did a jump up and he jumped on the hippo's head and twisted the head off the hippo, I was like, that's cool. I like that he did that. Cool fight. And then his actual fight against Elsa was pretty cool. He had a new fucking armor thing he was using to fight her. She was trying to slice him. It wasn't working. At one point, she like bites him. He transforms just his arm into like a tiger arm and like rips her fucking head off, but then she regrows it because she's immortal now or something. All that was cool.
Well, we see her get crushed. So is she immortal? Is she dead?
Well, that was like the final blow, and that looked like a serious blow. She could be dead. It definitely is possible. But look, a crushing death where we don't see the body has me a little bit suspicious if that's the end of old Elsa. Was she gonna let it go that easily? I don't know. Anyway, I think I've pretty much spilled my guts. Elsa would love that about this series.
I know, deservedly so, I'm going to get some shit for not understanding some of what's happening, for watching it 3 times.
I won't apologize. Oh, well, yeah.
I won't apologize either. I do want to like ReZero, which is why I wanted to watch it more at all. Like, I thought we were going to be done with the Sanctuary arc, so I was kind of a little excited. I was like, wait, what if something, because...
If Rem wakes up, I'd be excited to see Rem do something.
And think about how dramatically different each arc had been up to this point, where like the first arc was guy gets isekai'd to a town, he has to deal with like bartering, he's got an assassin after him. Then the second arc, he's in a mansion, and there's like a mystery with these maids. The third arc, we learn about the maids, you know, a little bit more depth, so we spend a little more time in that setting. But then we go to a big central town again, and now we've got all these knights, and we're in a courtyard settings and stuff. Then we have the whole Betelgeuse thing and the giant whale, and it's like, when we first entered the giant whale arc, it was the first time I watched the show, I just remember being taken aback that it was like, it felt jarringly different. Like, wow, we're in a different show for like 3 episodes while they fight this whale. And, you know, when we rewatched the show, I didn't dislike that as much. I was like, oh, actually, it's kind of nice, this change of pace. God, I would love a change of pace.
Yes.
God, I would love a change of pace. And there's part of me that thinks, well, like, as soon as the Sanctuary shit's over and we don't have to worry about any of these bullshit characters anymore, there's a chance the show could just radically change again and be okay.
You're right.
But I just have had my patience tested harder than anything has ever tested my patience to try to make it through this fucking arc. It's unbelievable.
It has been a painful slog, and yet people still talk about how good it is. What's the score on Mal right now?
In fairness, the only people who probably would still be watching are people who made it through season 2, part 1, which I know there's a lot of people who are on our side about this show. They're just like, I can't stand sitting through it anymore.
All right, season 2 appears to have like an 8.49 and be ranked 105 of all anime on Mal. Shocking.
I mean, when ReZero season 1 was airing, I felt similarly about it having such a high score.
Will I like the show upon rewatch? Will I feel that like all of this was just me being a fucking Sally come lately grumpy Gus? You know, I'm not vibing with the characters enough. If I could change my brain to vibe with the characters more, I would like it more, because the show is like 90% being in the characters' heads. If I could just
become even more autistic, I would love ReZero. I mean, again, the fact that they all just have the same voice drives me insane.
They all talk in exactly the same tones. And there's this thing, I bet this show does a lot better in the dub, because like there are moments where there was one moment where, I don't know, a hilarious bit happened where someone's talking, and I think it's like Ram is like, there's 2 unreliable boys here. And Otto starts to speak and goes like, wait, why are you including me in that? And then it cuts, and we cut to something else. I feel that was a comedic cut. I sensed they were going for a joke. I just observed, I felt like a full dead inside sociopath watching that moment. I was like, this was an attempt at humor.
Yeah.
That it didn't move me one bit. That's how I felt. Maybe in English that would have like worked better for me. See, they're trying. That was another show wouldn't even try to make a joke there.
I can't imagine watching this dubbed. Holy fuck.
I don't know. Okay, you know what? I've said all the things I can say about ReZero for a day. I am kind of morbidly fascinated to see how this whole thing ends. I'm positive it's just going to be more of the same. But like, will there be a light on the other side of something different and better? People tell me that the answer is yes to that.
I've got more hopes for Jujutsu fucking Kaisen right now.
I've got way higher hopes. It's more generic, but it's functional, and it makes me smile and laugh. Toto is cool. All right, folks. You asked for it. This is what you get. You wanted more ReZero talk, and we have delivered. So support us in doing so on subscribestar.com/Cantent. You asked for it. Now give us $10. You can get all our bonus episodes, including Patlabor 2 and all the other ones we've done. We also have a Twitter. We have a Discord. You can talk with people on those about the shows we're talking about and other stuff. And also you can possibly send Cantent clips to play, possibly at the end of the show, if there's one here. Cantent!